Welcome to Distracted, the podcast with Angela Lockwood, the place where you will find practical brain-boosting strategies, expert insights, and real-life stories to help busy brains thrive in the age of distraction. Let's go. Welcome to the first episode of 2025 here on Distracted. I'm Angela Lockwood and I am back. I have just had 5 weeks holiday, but 4 weeks of those was traveling to Hawaii and Canada. And I'm so feeling, that post-holiday beautiful rest and making sure that, we don't jump straight into the speed of all the work that's waiting for us. But who am I kidding? First couple of days back, I've been washing skiing clothes and unpacking and doing all the things, unfortunately, we have to do after holidays. But oh my goodness, it was such a magical time. And this is not going to be like a full flex time of sharing with you how amazing our trip to Canada was. But one of the things that I guess we had been working on for many years, my husband and I lived in Canada about 20 years ago, just over 20 years ago now, and had the most amazing time. I did my last placement at uni 2 years before that at a hospital in Canada, where I actually started my real career of developing programs in schools and around inclusion. And I just absolutely loved everything about Canada. It is just such a beautiful country. And so a couple of years after, my husband and I went back and we lived there for 12 months. And I think about 19 and a half years, we've been talking about going back there and visiting. And then when we had kids, of course, life got in the way. And we just always talked about what it would be like to go back and have time in Canada, to see everybody in Canada, but also to take the kids back and to show them, they're always hearing us talking about all of our experiences. My husband played rugby union over there and we just had so much fun. Those pre-kid times, if you have children, where life just seemed to be super fun and it felt like nothing tying you down in should I say in a good way. But once you have kids, things get a little bit more complicated. You have other people to think about. um, they go to school, you can't really pull them out. But anyway, whatever the reasons were, life got in the way. And so it took us quite a few years to go back there. And I loved that we were able to do that. I have a son that's 17 and a daughter that's 15. So it felt like the right time for us to have that family holiday and to have a really good visit to a country that we really hold closely to our hearts, and to introduce them to all these people we've been speaking about for many years. And so it was a perfect time, before they leave home, before they leave school. I often think about my kids, why did I raise them to be so independent? Because I know the minute they graduate from school that they are gone, that they are going to be traveling the world and doing all of these amazing things. And part of me, I go, oh, why did we raise these amazing independent kids? Because they're just going to want to leave home. But, really the big part of me is so excited for them because the world is such a big place and full of so many amazing opportunities. But this trip to Hawaii in Canada was really special. But the thing that I loved, there was lots of moments about the trip that I absolutely loved. One of them was the ability to switch off. And when I say switch off, literally, I had 4 weeks without my laptop. I didn't even take my computer with me. It stayed in the cupboard at home. And so that way I couldn't work. It was a real conscious choice to completely switch off and spend that valuable time with my husband and with the kids. And what I didn't want to do is get into work mode while I was there. I really wanted to consciously just go, this time is for family and that's it. Most of my year I'm really switched on. I'm really thinking about all the things I need to do in work and business and growth and customers and clients and everything. And I thought I really owe this to myself just to have this time to switch off, because we've been talking about it for so long. But it's also a really important time for us to be with the kids. And so I sort of took this a little bit far. And not only did I not take my laptop, but also we didn't sign up to any international plans on our phones either. So we thought what we could do is travel around without our phones and only be connected on Wi-Fi, so that when we're in a motel, or when we're staying at a friend's house, that we would connect into Wi-Fi, and that's how we would stay up to date on what's going on. um, but it was really interesting because there was so many times I didn't even know where my phone was. I would go down to the communal room, or we would go out for the day and I'd be like, hey, where's my phone? And it was really quick that it took not much time, really. It was quite quick where I quickly was like, I don't really want my phone near me. And I almost ended up forgetting about it. And for some of you, you might be starting to go into a little bit of a panic attack now, thinking, how in the world could she go for 4 weeks without her phone? Now, don't be disillusioned here. I wasn't 4 weeks without my phone. We were using it for photos. I had my phone was the only thing I was using for photos. And we were also planning on the phone and things when we were at the motel. But what we quickly realized was how much our society really requires you to have your phone. There were so many things that we needed. So, access to national parks, they would email you your pass and you had to show them the QR code on your phone. Now, in order to have that, we needed to be, connected to a mobile network. And so it was very interesting, even though we had 4 weeks really without being contactable because we turned off all the SMSs and messaging, but we still needed it to access everything in our daily lives. Our cards were on the phone. So even me saying that I was without it, I had it with me. It's just that we turned off the functionality of people being able to contact us. And I just loved it. In fact, it's been really hard. It's my first week back speaking to you now, and it has been a bit tricky to get my head back around having people texting me and needing to respond. But what I've quickly noticed is when people respond, email, the sense of urgency that comes up for me to be able to respond straight away. And it was funny because when people knew that they couldn't contact me for 4 weeks, I had all the autoresponders on my emails. I told everyone I'd be away, I wouldn't have my phone. People just didn't contact me. And what I found was really interesting with that was it was the boundary that I created for myself to tell people, but also have the systems in place to let people know that I wouldn't be available. Excuse me. So, see, even my voice is croaky. My voice is trying to find its way back into speaking on the podcast. But even with being contactable, I don't know if you've ever had this sort of tried this yourself. Even just turning your phone off can actually be quite anxiety inducing. You can almost get nervous that what if somebody needs me, or what if someone wants me? And I guess for me, we had that opportunity that the kids were with us, so I didn't have to worry about them needing us because we were pretty much traveling all the time together. But when it came to things like family and close friends, then of course there was messaging apps like WhatsApp and things like that that they could get us on. But I didn't have the notifications on, so it felt like I was in control of when I would respond, how people could connect with me, and also there was the time difference, so I didn't want people messaging me at 4 o'clock in the morning. But all of this aside, what I really wanted to sort of friendly remind you, alert you to over the course of this new year is keep in mind that if you are feeling overwhelmed, constantly connected with people, never feeling like you have calm in your life, that you do actually have the ability to control what inputs come into your life. Yes, you can't, most of the time, you can't switch off for 4 weeks and tell everyone not to contact you. But there are definite ways that you can create boundaries in your life to minimize the intrusion that often we're feeling now, particularly with being constantly contactable. So I just want you to have a think about what is it that this year you're wanting to achieve? What is it? It might be a different energy that you want over the course of this year, or it might be that there are things that you're wanting to work on this year that really have a lot of meaning for you. What are some of those things that you're wanting to do this year? And think about, how can I create boundaries around those intrusions in my life so that the likelihood of me achieving that is a lot higher. So if you feel like you're constantly bombarded by emails, what boundaries could you create around that email use or email access that'll make you feel like you're not constantly getting hit by them, but you're responding in a way that puts you in control? It might be notifications on your phone, right? And I'm amazed by, whenever I'm doing my workshops around thriving in the age of distraction, how many people have so many notifications pop up on their phone, within seconds, and they're just constantly pinging, and they don't take the couple of minutes out just to turn them off. That they almost put up with the inconvenience and the annoying sounds rather than just taking a couple of minutes to turn it off. And you might be one of them. You might be like, oh my gosh, that's me. That's exactly what I do. So have a look at the notifications that constantly pop up on your phone. If they are not absolutely necessary for you to respond to in the moment, so that, say, like a message from your kids, I would imagine that is highest priority. That is the priority message that you get, to say, hey mum, I'm stuck, or mum, can you help me, or dad, I'm running late, my work's going to be going late, just to let you know. Like, they're important text messages, so that's a notification you want. Maybe phone calls, if phone calls are important to you to receive, maybe that. But I can guarantee you things like Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, any of the social media apps, your kids' sport, maybe I won't name all of them because there's just so many of them, but I don't think you need to have that notification in real time. And so have a look at the notifications that are popping up on your phone over the next couple of days and take stock of them. Just write them down on a piece of paper of the things that you constantly get notified about. And then have a look and go, well, actually, they aren't important for me. Take a couple of minutes before the end of the week and go in and turn off the notifications for all of those apps. Now, I can guarantee you will be 100% fine if you don't get real-time notifications on every app that's on your phone. I can guarantee that. Now, there'll be the ones that you will go, super important, I have to, have that coming through. Then, of course, leave that on. So two things is looking at where, I guess, the interruptions of your devices are happening. Is it emails? It might be the notifications on your phone. It might be phone calls. It might be just people interrupting you in your office. It might be also just when you are having quiet time, when you're doing sort of some self-care tasks. Do you feel like you're being interrupted during those times? And if you've got little kids, it's really difficult. I can remember when the kids were little, you'd be sitting on the toilet and one of them would walk in and you'd be like, are you serious? Door closed, mum on toilet. You do not need me right now. But I can guarantee you it does get better as they age. But have a look at boundaries this year around how can you create some of those boundaries around time, but more importantly, around your attention. And it's around creating boundaries so that you can focus on the things that really matter to you. Because when you wake up in the morning, say with your alarm clock, what you don't want to do is roll over, turn the alarm clock off, and then see a whole screen just full of random notifications that aren't important to you, because you can't help yourself. As humans, we can't help ourselves with those distractions. We have to have a look at them. And our brain just automatically, when it sees those notifications, thinks we need to respond to it, or we need to action it. Or if it's neither of those things, it's just aware that that is now sitting on your phone, and our brains automatically jump into overwhelm when we don't need it. So, just a short reminder for you and a suggestion for you as you're looking into this new year ahead. Where can you create boundaries around your attention so that you can focus on the things that really matter to you? And just as I did in my holidays, no laptop, minimized my phone usage, didn't have text messages come in, all of these things so that I could spend those beautiful 4 weeks having the most amazing experiences at a time when I know is really important with my family. And I will guarantee you that I did not miss one important thing, that I did not miss it. In fact, it probably became a little bit harder than what I thought to come back and switch it back on. But it's been too easy to fall back into some of the patterns that I had prior to those 4 weeks. So even just recording this for you is reminding me to practice what I preach and make sure that I continue to have boundaries around my device use, around when I'm contactable, and how people can interrelate with me because, you know, there's a lot. There's a lot for us to do in life. And if we feel out of control with it, then it's just going to take over. We always have control around how we use our time, but particularly with our attention, we need to be a little bit more strategic and a bit more mindful around where we're going to give our attention and therefore where we're going to give our energy. So I wish you all the very best this year. Now, hopefully, if you are a new listener, I just want to say thank you so much for being here on Distracted. It is a podcast for those of you that find it really hard to focus in a very busy, distracting, noisy world. And on here, you'll get lots of tips around how you can find calm, how you can find focus, but also how you can look after your own brain to help your brain really thrive in this age of distraction. And they're not just episodes with me. I also get really amazing guests on here who are leaders in this field to give you information and insights into how you can best focus in the age of distraction. And I absolutely loved bringing Distracted to you last year. This year will be no different. It's going to be a weekly episode podcast. So that's a challenge in itself for me to stay focused on that. But I want to make sure that I keep giving you the ultimate value that you deserve, but also give you information that's really going to make a positive difference for you in your life. So if there's anything, any content that you're like, hey, I'd love to know more about that, make sure you send us a message, over at Instagram, LinkedIn, all the different socials. I won't get a notification straight away, but I will eventually get back to you. I can promise you. Or you can head over to the podcast page, which is at angelalockwood.com.au/podcast. And everything's on there, and you can get a hold of me and let me know if there's anything that you would love to hear about this year on Distracted. If you do love Distracted, and I hope you do, please like it on whatever platform that you're listening on. It's really interesting because that really helps. It helps other people know that it's a valuable podcast worth listening to. And just as I did on my trip, I can't believe how much reviews were so important because I would read it and I'd actually make decisions based on what other people were saying about the location. So I saw firsthand the value of reviews. So if you do like this podcast or even just a particular episode, please like and subscribe to the podcast. And also, I love inviting people to share with somebody, share a episode with someone you care about who you feel might get a lot of value out of listening to it because it shows them that you care and that you see them. So, I look forward to having Distracted in your world this year. And I wish you such a positive year that's full of everything that you choose. But don't forget, you are always in control of how you use your attention. It just might take a little bit of time and energy and effort to be able to craft that so that you can stay focused on the things that really matter to you. But stay tuned and I'll give you a whole lot of ways that you can do that over the year. Thanks so much, everyone, for joining me. I'm Angela Lockwood, and until next episode, you take care.